Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, bro. This is probably one of the worst Raw episodes of all time. And this is strictly predicated off of what this episode has set up for the future and what could potentially be going down this weekend at the Royal Rumble, and also the awful feud that has been set up apparently between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. There were so many just massive mistakes and dumb problems with this episode that I'm genuinely shocked. I don't even understand how some of this stuff got greenlit to be shown to us on camera, but I have a little inkling, an inkling of faith that there is possibility that maybe this weekend at the Royal Rumble, The Rock shows up or something like that happens. I'll be posting my Royal Rumble predictions video probably tomorrow, so we're going to talk about this stuff in further detail, but there's a couple key things that they could do to save this, but Mania 41 season looks like an utter disaster from top to bottom. We're going to talk about that in tomorrow's video, but yeah, we're also going to talk about that a little bit in this episode as well, this video as well, but yeah, man, let's just go ahead and break down this episode from top to bottom. And on top of that tonight, it was January 27th episode of Raw, after Roman Reigns won his Tribal Combat match versus Solo on the Raw Netflix premiere. He said backstage in a segment that him and Paul Heyman were going to show up on January 27th for like a little ceremony for Roman Reigns, you know what I'm saying, for him being the OTC and a special announcement. And we knew it was going to be 2K related, obviously, right? Because that's what was on the door. But still, where is Roman Reigns tonight? He was supposed to be here. He said that him and Paul would be here, and only one of them showed up, and that was Paul Heyman. But I'm slowly coming to the realization that in all seriousness, and I mean this with all due respect, Roman Reigns should probably not show up to anything until The Rock is back. Because at this point, everything else, and we're going to discuss this later in this video and in tomorrow's video, everything that's happening right now in WWE is filled with jobbers. There is no reason for this dude to be wanting to fight for the world championship because it's meaningless. It's a little kid championship, you know? It's a number 2 title like he called it last year. The WWE championship is being held by a jobber in Stardust, and nobody cares about that belt anymore. The only way it could mean something is if Roman or Cena or a heel version of Orton or maybe CM Punk wins it. Or The Rock, obviously. Those are the only ways that belt will ever mean anything, literally in the near future. That's it. So if I'm Roman Reigns, I ain't showing up until I have a feud or a program to set up with The Rock. If not, I ain't showing up. It's as simple as that. Unless Punk wins the belt or Rollins wins the belt or something and I feud with them and have a good program with them, then that's cool. But everything else is just meaningless. Nobody cares about this garbage. Roman Reigns doesn't care. He don't need to show up. Why would he need to show up, right? Apparently the roster's as stacked as it's ever been, but the people who are there in his absence absolutely suck at their jobs. So I don't really know what else to say about this other than the fact that it's unfortunate and disappointing that Roman didn't show up tonight and at least, kind of build for this Rumble. But at the same time, there's nothing to build. I don't care who wins this Rumble because the current roster of champions and potential feuds are boring to me, and I don't care, just like he probably doesn't care. So yeah, no Roman Reigns tonight, even though that, they said that he was going to be here tonight. First off, we had Seth Rollins come out into the ring. Seth Rollins has this like purple and green like Joker color gimmick going on tonight. I don't know if it was just tonight or if it's going to be a permanent thing, but that's pretty much what this dude is doing. He gets on the mic and basically talks about how, he took the most embarrassing loss of his life. The same stuff he was saying on Raw like the last couple weeks, right? And then he basically says he's going to eliminate everyone. Everyone who's in the Royal Rumble tonight for the men and the women's basically all said the same thing. I'm going to eliminate everyone. I'm going to eliminate every one of the other 29 people dude, you're not going to do anything, right? We all know that Seth Rollins is not going to win the Royal Rumble. But anyways, he says he's going to get up from that loss. He's going to learn from it, and he's going to eliminate John Cena. He's going to throw over CM Punk. He's going to throw over Roman Reigns. I'm going to love throwing over Roman Reigns because I can't stand him. All that other stuff, right? It's nonsense. And then what's it called, right? Then Seth Rollins basically brings up the fact, he says out loud to the crowd, it's one of those things where he's like, should I challenge Cody? And the crowd pops. And then should I challenge Gunther? And then, no one really says anything. And then he's like, but Gunther has my belt. He's been keeping it warm. And then Gunther's music hits. He actually gets a pretty decent pop, so good for him. His reactions on average are still lower than Jimmy Uso's and Sami Zayn, so deal with that if you may. Then Gunther basically bores us to death. He asks Seth Rollins, after Seth's been talking about how important the World Championship is, Gunther's like, where have you been the last couple months? Where have you been, Seth? Well, where have you been, Gunther? You just showed up on Raw for the first time in 8 weeks, like a week or two ago. You know what I'm saying? You have not, before this Saturday Night Main Event from a couple days ago, he hadn't wrestled since the previous Saturday Night Main Event. Talking about some, where have you been, Seth? No, where have you been, Gunther? You haven't been wrestling. You haven't been showing up on the show. You've been an awful champion, and the belt, the championship reign itself, the World Heavyweight Championship means nothing. Nobody cares about this belt. And this is why this episode of Raw was a keystone piece of garbage. This was a monumental piece of garbage this episode was tonight. It's not even close. When you watch this stuff, think about this for a second, ladies and gentlemen, right? Because Logan Paul returned as well. We're going to talk about that in a second, but just think about this, right? John Cena, if he's going to win his 17th, he's going to either have to beat Cody Rhodes, which we know that feud and that build would be trash unless one of them turned heel or something like that, or he would have to fight Gunther. Those two programs and feuds and builds up in matches look horrendous on paper. Why would anybody be excited for any of those feuds? Why would anyone be excited to see Seth go for the same world championship he's been vying for a year and a half at this point? It's egregious. You really want to see Seth versus Gunther at WrestleMania? A match that you know would be probably solid in ring, but we know Seth ain't winning that belt. He just lost it at last year's Mania. He held it for 300 days. Why would he lose it just to win it back a year later? You know? So stop it. The world championship picture is an absolute disaster and a joke. The belt means nothing. People are starting to realize that Gunther is boring, and the booking of him has been nonsensical. And you also have to factor in that his matches are boring. His promos are boring and nonsensical and repetitive. He basically says the same thing. He's like, this belt makes me Seth. It makes me the best in the world. It makes me the workhorse, the man who's been fighting week in and week out. You haven't been wrestling, so that's a lie. This is another problem. Gunther's not believable on the mic because you know he's lying. He's talking about workhorse in these terms like captain and all this other stuff in ring general. The mat is sacred. If it's so sacred, why are you barely wrestling since you become champion? It doesn't make any sense, man. This stuff is stupid. I don't care about the world championship. I don't care about the world champion picture. I don't care about Gunther. This dude stinks. Take the belt off of him and give it to somebody else, please. Then Logan Paul returns, gets a massive amount of heat from the fans. The fans are booing him out of the building like it's deafening the boos at this point. And Logan Paul basically has to yell at the top of his lungs to cut his promo, which is kind of funny. But he proceeds to say that he's basically hitting the ceiling and he's going to keep on pushing through it and still walk up those stairs, the glass ceiling or whatever, and break through it. And he declares for the Royal Rumble because for some reason everybody has to declare for the Rumble now. Logan Paul basically calls Rollins and Gunther dorks, which, they are. They're doofuses at this point. They don't contribute literally anything. Seth Rollins, I love him, but he hasn't done anything since he's come back from his injury like last year in 2024. He fought Damian Priest. He had a feud with Bronson Reed that was actually kind of decent, actually. I'll take that back. He had a decent feud with Bronson Reed, but he hasn't done anything since. He got jobbed out to CM Punk on the Raw Netflix premiere in an embarrassing fashion, and that was pretty much that. Nobody wants to see this dude fight Gunther. Nobody cares about that. Have Seth Rollins feud with Punk until one of them wins 2 of the 3 matches. That's all you have to do with this dude. Why are we having him do these pointless side quests like the Royal Rumble and these random Logan Paul and Gunther feuds when nobody cares about that? Nobody cares. So Logan Paul basically brings up that Netflix needs a new face, they need a new champion, and he's going to enter in the Rumble and win and take that championship. And that's that. This promo finishes very awkwardly with Seth Rollins basically telling Gunther, I'm going to embarrass you. And that's that. Throws the mic down, music hits, and that's the end of that. Then we have a segment backstage with CM Punk, who actually cuts a pretty solid promo. Unlike later in the night, he actually cut, a decent promo here, I guess you could say, you know what I'm saying? He basically was talking to Kathy Kelly, and he's like, yes, I'm winning the Royal Rumble. The same thing that's going to happen to Seth Rollins is the same thing that's going to happen to everybody else in this match that's not named CM Punk. They're going to get thrown over the top rope, they're going to get beat, and even if you were in the match, Kathy Kelly, I'd throw you over the top rope as well, so I don't care. So that was a pretty funny little 20-second promo until Sami Zayn interrupts and is upset from last week when Punk said, me and Sami Zayn are not on the same level, don't even bring him up. When he was cutting that 2 or 3 minute great promo, unlike tonight's promo we cut with Cody Rhodes. But anyways, we're going to talk about that later. That was infuriating, that promo with Punk and Cody. But anyways, Punk basically says, yeah, you're not on my level, Sami, so what? And Sami Zayn's like, yeah, you're right, we're not on the same level. I main evented WrestleMania and you still haven't. So I'm tired. Dude, listen, Sami Zayn, good of him to fight back here in this segment. He fought back against the stuff that Punk was saying. That's cool. But the fact is, Sami Zayn is a jobber. He's never going to be in the same conversation as CM Punk, and he didn't even really main event WrestleMania. Night 1 main events don't really count unless it's a truly generational match. Like The Rock and Roman versus Cody and Rollins is an actual Mania main event worthy match. You know what I'm saying? Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos at Mania 39, yeah, great match. I actually thought it was absolutely amazing. The story for it was great as well. But like, it's a night one main event. Sammy's throwing that around like he's accomplished more than Punk, and like he's like did something like night two massive main event versus like The Undertaker, or like Shawn Michaels or Roman or Cena or any of these people. Like, no, dude, you haven't done any of that. Relax yourself. But yeah, that's that. Then we have JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio versus the War Raiders. This match is honestly pretty decent. Like, it was okay. You know, JD McDonough took a nasty bump on like his back and head area, but he seems to be okay. I'm sure he's probably going to be hurting on his back and his head tomorrow, but hopefully he gets better or whatnot. But this match was decent. There was okay drama like between who you thought was actually going to win. The Judgment Day got some finishers off. Carlito interfered, and they did a good job of making you think the Judgment Day would take the belts, but then putting you right at the edge where the War Raiders won, and it was cool. Like, it was just a standard match, right? It's average. I'm not mad at it. I'm also not like overly hyped, like, wow, this match was incredible. It's none of those things. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like there, decent, average, expected match between the Judgment Day and the War Raiders. What else can you ask for? The Judgment Day ends up losing. The War Raiders retain their championships after Carlito gets involved or whatever, and that's pretty much that. Then we have some stuff with the New Day, right? The New Day at this point. Now, I'm gonna be honest, right? Some of the antics that they have during this match with like Xavier Woods, and he's out there fighting Rey Mysterio. He's talking trash. I thought that was cool. And then his family's ringside, and they're all wearing New Day suck shirts. That was pretty fun. It's entertaining. That stuff is cool. But what's happening with the New Day? Where are they going from here? Are they just going to come out every week, get booed out of the building, wrestle in like khakis and random boots, and then they're just going to continue to lose matches? Like, what do they do? They did that generational quality heel turn versus Big E, and now we're sitting here like a few months later, and nothing has really changed. They're not like more hated than they already were. They're not like they're not winning any matches. They're not vying. They don't have any championship goals or aspirations, and they're not winning matches. So you did all that amazing heel turn work from the New Day and Big E and all that other stuff just to have them proceed to do absolutely nothing for the following 2 or 3 months. Like I've been saying in my videos, Triple H has a tendency of doing long-term booking. Every story takes 10 to 12 months, but once it's at its conclusion, nothing comes from it. Cody Rhodes gets the buildup of finishing the story after a year or two. Finally happens, the reign sucks. New Day has an amazing heel turn after 10 months of buildup. Then after that, they proceed to do nothing for 2 months straight so far. It just doesn't make any sense. Jey Uso's built up to finally win a singles championship for a year on a singles run. Wins the championship, loses it in 3 weeks. Do you see what I'm saying? All these things that are built up to for a long time get zero future payoff. Like you get your climax moment and then nothing comes from it. Gunther, he wins he's got 2 years of the IC belt. Sammy gets it, does nothing with the belt, loses it in 3 months. Gunther gets the world championship. The progression has led him here. He gets the world championship and has one of the worst reigns of all time. So, what do you want to do at this point? Triple H's long-term booking, nobody cares. Now we get on to the next thing, right? Jey Uso basically comes up with Quavo. He has a massive entrance. This lasted like 5 to 10 minutes at least. It felt like that. I don't know how long it was, but that was pretty much the entrance for Jey Uso. He's out there with Quavo in the audience. They're in Atlanta tonight, so you have that situation. And basically Jey Uso's, going all crazy. He's doing the yeet and yeet and yeet and yeet. Just goes on and on and on and on and on. Starts to get a little tedious at a point because it's like, dude, when is this guy going to start talking? And then he's actually a little bit out of breath when he starts to talk because he's been jumping up and down for like 10 minutes straight. And then he finally just declares for the Royal Rumble, and that's basically it. Jey Uso's not going to win the Royal Rumble. He's not going to beat Gunther. He's not going to do anything. I personally would have taken that DIY Motor City Machine Gun match off the card, and I would have had Jey Uso rematch Gunther for the World Championship this weekend at Elimination Chamber. I would have had it start the show, too. It would have started off with Jey Uso doing his, his great entrance, his big entrance in front of like 60,000 plus people. Would have gotten them all hype, and then he actually won the championship in a big venue, big PLE like Royal Rumble, and that would set up whoever's going to win the Rumble to challenge him at Mania or something like that, or whoever wins the Chamber as well, Something like that would have been cool. Anything to get the title off of Gunther and do it in a really cool way for Jey or for anybody at this point, it would have been nice. But obviously Jey Uso's going to go in the Royal Rumble. He may be in like the final 10 or maybe the final 8, but he's not going to win the match. He'll probably be wrestling some undercard jobber match at WrestleMania. So there you have that. Now we have the women's tag match. This is probably my favorite part of the night. Outside of the Xavier Woods' family wearing the New Day Sucks shirts, I think that this was probably the best part of the night as far as I'm concerned. The women's tag match was basically Liv Morgan and Raquel versus Bianca and Naomi. It's cool to see Bianca and Naomi on Raw, with this transfer portal stuff. Bianca is always going to be wrestling, same with Naomi, and honestly, kind of same with Liv Morgan. She wrestles pretty consistently in comparison to the field of competition out there, right? So Liv Morgan is basically out there. Bianca's doing good moves. Liv Morgan is doing solid moves. It looks like Liv Morgan's trying to improve in the ring a little bit. This whole, dynamic of what's going to happen next after her championship reign, it looks like she's going to be relegated to the undercard women's tag team division, and that's pretty much that. I mean, at least they're doing something with her. Her and Raquel need to split up immediately so Liv can actually at least attempt to do something in a singles run, but this is just where it is for now. Bianca and Liv have pretty solid chemistry in the ring. Dominic Mysterio ends up getting involved, so Bianca has to jump over the rope and basically, do it like a cross body onto him, knock him out of the ring. Then Naomi hits a finisher on Liv, and then Raquel pulls Naomi off. Like, they did a good job of blurring the lines of who was going to actually win. There was decent drama in this match, kind of like the Viking Raider match as well. So that was kind of the situation. Everything that took place in this match, though, I will say was pretty much null and void, unless they're setting up, Raquel and Liv eventually winning the women's tag belts, which I think is what's going to happen when Jade Cargill likely comes back at the Rumble, or when she comes back, in the very near future. I think something will happen with those tag belts. They'll get dropped and relinquished, or not relinquished, but they'll lose them to Liv and Raquel at some point, and that'll be Liv Morgan's next arc in her next journey. So there you have that. Then we have a little segment here, a situation where Kai Cenat basically was out there. They had a ton of celebrities out there in Georgia tonight for this Raw Netflix episode. I mean, it's good that Kai Cenat's there. Apparently, Kai Cenat's going to be streaming with iShowSpeed at this weekend's Royal Rumble. This is good business decision by WWE. Kai Cenat and Speed are, just by them streaming it and posting content about it this weekend, they're going to get at least 1 to 2 million extra eyeballs on WWE this weekend. Whether they're watching the PLE or watching the stuff on YouTube or on Twitch or wherever the heck they're streaming, there's going to be millions of extra eyeballs on this event now, and that was a really good business decision by WWE, so congratulations there. And Rhea Ripley basically showed up in a backstage segment. I mean, there's not really much for her to do. She just defended a Saturday Night Main Event in a great match, in my opinion, with Nia Jax, so, her basically cutting a little bland, monotonous little 30-second segment here, and then Bayley interrupts kind of and basically says, her classic ding-dong, that dumb garbage, and then after that, Io Sky and Bayley have like a face-off or whatever, but that's pretty much all there is with this backstage segment. Rhea Ripley gets a pass for not doing much this week because she recently defended her championship and the match was great. So guess what? This week, you have a pass for taking back your title that you never lost, yeah? And that's that. And next, we have a segment from Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman basically comes out there, basically glazes Roman Reigns for about 4 or 5 minutes, kind of like I was doing in my video yesterday, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, Paul Heyman basically comes out there, talks about how Roman Reigns is the one and true tribal chief, and he will be the one behind the 1 versus 29 at the Royal Rumble, who eventually will win, that being Roman Reigns, obviously. He'll win that match, Paul Heyman is saying. He's basically saying Roman Reigns said he'd take back the Ula Fala, he took that back, and now he says that Roman Reigns always keeps his promises, right? Well, I guess not, because he said he'd be here on the 27th, and he's not, but anyways, he said Roman Reigns is going to take back his title too, that he claimed, that he was going to take back. So everything that he says he's going to take back, he will do so, and that's basically the claim of Paul Heyman. After Paul Heyman says this, he basically reveals how amazing Roman Reigns is again, and reveals that Roman Reigns is the cover athlete for WWE 2K25. I was going to say NBA 2K because I played that a lot growing up, still do it to an extent now, but, anyways, he basically said that Roman Reigns is going to be the cover athlete of 2K25. It's great they're doing service to this. I mean, I don't know who else could really be the cover outside of maybe Punk. Roman Reigns is the biggest thing they've had in years, so I don't really understand who else was going to be on this cover anyways. What, are you going to put Cody on the cover? Nobody cares. Literally nobody cares, bro. At this point, I'd much rather have Rhea Ripley on the cover just by herself than Cody Rhodes on the cover by himself. So stop the nonsense. But Roman Reigns is the cover athlete of 2K25. It's cool he gets to be on it with his family and with the Wiseman in the corner, all that stuff. Good for him. Again, After this happens, Drew McIntyre basically comes out. Well, before that, Paul Heyman has a nice little moment where he's like on his knees. He's like, everyone prays and begs and gets on their knees to pray that Roman Reigns, to pray that they will be anything like Roman Reigns, because he is the number one star in the industry. He's the number one star on this show on Netflix, and he's the best wrestler and the best performer on the planet. Drew McIntyre basically comes out, and believe it or not, he can't stop thinking about Punk, and I can't stop thinking about Punk. You know what I'm saying? He comes out there and basically rambles on for like 5 minutes about how he's the daddy of the bloodline, and he's the creator of it, and if it wasn't for him doing his 2020, championship run and beating Roman and doing all this other stuff, then, Paul Heyman would have never left Brock Lesnar, and he would have never had the chance to be, the wise man to Roman Reigns and, have this great championship run. As if Roman Reigns couldn't build this championship run without Drew McIntyre or something. What has Drew McIntyre done in the meantime? Absolutely nothing. So it makes you wonder. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah, he had a great feud with Punk, but outside of that, in the last like 3 or 4 years, he hasn't done anything. So nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? He helped carry through the pandemic. I'll give him that. But from like the late 2020 to like early 2024, this dude has contributed absolutely nothing. Let's just be real with ourselves. So I don't know who this dude is that has the audacity to talk to Paul Heyman and Roman about this, but in kayfabe, it just doesn't make any sense. So there you have that. Drew McIntyre basically threatens Paul Heyman that I need you to tell Roman Reigns that I will be targeting him at the Rumble and I will be beating him down. And I need you to tell your other buddy, he also says, I need you to tell your buddy and I'm going to be beating him up too. And he's like, and the buddy I'm talking about is CM Punk, because I can't stop thinking about Punk. This is a disaster. It just is. Nobody cares about CM Punk and Drew McIntyre anymore. And nobody cares about Drew McIntyre's infatuation with the bloodline. It's boring, it's repetitive, it's stale, it's old, and it's uninteresting. I don't care about Drew McIntyre right now because there's giving me no reason to. He's doing the same stuff every week. Oh, I'm upset with the bloodline. Oh, I'm upset with Punk. Oh, Rollins, Sammy, Jay, what's happening? Like, shut up. Just shut up, man. His character's boring now. How can you have him do such a great job in 2024, arguably the MVP of 2024 in WWE, and all of a sudden, now you have a situation where he's just crying and complaining all day for the last 2 months? This is stupid. Make him do something. I hope he wins the Rumble, truly. I really do. He needs it badly. Anyways, then we get Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. There's nothing to say about this match. Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre happened at Saturday Night Main Event. It happened before Saturday Night Main Event. It happened after Saturday Night Main Event on Raw. And it happened tonight on Raw. So there's no reason to talk about this match. Sami Zayn loses again. Drew McIntyre rolls him up and then beats him up after the match. And then Cody Rhodes, for some reason, comes out to help Sami Zayn. Cody Rhodes gets inadvertently, quote unquote, inadvertently, right? It was obviously, not intended to, but Sami, basically hits a haluva kick on him as Kevin Owens is watching, because Kevin Owens came out to brawl for a second, and then he watches Sami, hit the haluva kick on Cody. All this stuff is meaningless. We know Cody's retaining that championship at Royal Rumble in about 10 to 15 minutes max. So what is the point of having us sit here and watch this whole stupid dynamic with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens? I thought this would be interesting at first, but now I'm realizing it's just dumb, because Kevin Owens isn't going to win this match. He should, but he's not going to. And we know Sami Zayn is going to come out and cost Cody the championship. So this is just dumb. It's a waste of time. Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre is a waste of time. Sami got busted open, so I hope he's okay, but still, this match was boring. It was bland. It was mid. There were a couple decent moves. They have solid in-ring chemistry because they wrestle 5 times a month together. But, other than that, there's really nothing to say about this. Cody Rhodes, after getting haluva kicked, they do an awkward cut out of a commercial break, and basically Cody Rhodes is having a promo segment, and this is one of Cody Rhodes' worst promos of all time. And that's stretching because Cody is normally cutting very bad promos, but this night was just an outlier to the trashness that we usually get. This was embarrassing. It was embarrassingly bad. He comes out, makes these very awkward and weird facial expressions, acting like he's some tough guy or like he's on edge, like he's, about to be Homelander Cody or some stuff. Like he's nothing. He's not that guy. This is one of the worst championship reigns of all time, and it's unacceptable that fans have been able to let this go on for this long. How is nobody saying anything about this? This has been a disaster. It's a disaster. He comes out, makes weird facial expressions, does nothing on the mic, barely wrestles in the ring, has 7 defenses of his championship in 300 days dang near. What is there to say about this anymore? He comes out and says, it's my hometown of Georgia, and I'm looking up at that championship. I know what it means to me, and I respect it, but I know after that I have to see what I'm doing after the Rumble. And that's exactly how he says it. Then CM Punk interrupts him and comes out, and CM Punk uncharacteristically cuts a awful promo. It was boring, it was bland, and it was nonsense. He's just babbling on for like 5 minutes straight. What is happening here, man? CM Punk, as much as I bash him, not really bashing him, I'm just bringing up the fact that he's washed in the ring now, which he is. He's not as good in the ring anymore, and no matter what he says, he can't back it up in the ring really that much, so there's no point of even, really putting stock in any of these matches realistically. He's had good matches since he's come back, but still, like, come on, man. Let's relax. The fact is that CM Punk, basically, when you have two good guys in the ring with each other, it's hard to cut great promos unless both of them have the ability to cut great promos. One of them can cut great promos. The other one, in Cody Rhodes, sucks at cutting promos. So now you're left in a situation where Cody Rhodes is just standing there again with dumb facial expressions, very weird and just stupid looking. And then out of nowhere, and the reason they're stupid looking, right, is because Cody Rhodes is making these facial expressions at nothing. He's standing there while no one's saying any words. CM Punk's just walking to the ring, and he's just twitching his face like he's on edge. You're not the Joker. You're not Homelander. You're Stardust. So act like it. Then CM Punk comes out there. CM Punk basically says, babbles on about Cody's past and how he loved his dad and he trusted his dad and he's gonna, he loves Cody and he respects Cody and he's at the top of the industry. And then Cody's like, can he just cut through all the BS? The ecosphere of WWE has changed and I am champion and I know what's next for me. But Punk, I want you to tell me what's next for me. And that's what happens. CM Punk basically tells him, you're gonna do all this stuff. You're gonna take the John Cena schedule. You're gonna be Bruno Sammartino, the face of the company, and then after a while you're gonna get burnt out just like I did during my 400-day reign, and then at some point you're gonna lose it. Maybe this is foreshadowing Cody turning heel, but the whole cadence and awkwardness of this promo just takes you out of the whole thing. The crowd was dead silent the entire time. You had little kids with their heads down because they were bored and tired. This stuff is boring. It's garbage. CM Punk babbles about the past and this and that and this and that, and then he babbles about how he's gonna win the Royal Rumble, he's gonna beat Cody and take his championship. It's like, dude, what is this? This is boring. It's garbage. CM Punk, after every great promo that he's cut, he comes out here and starts talking about respect and love in the ecosphere and how he's gonna take the belt from Cody and how he knows what everything means. He knows what that championship means to guys like us. Like, the whole energy of this promo was just off. It's just a weird vibe to everything that was happening here, man. It was just very boring. It was bland. The crowd showed you that it was boring and bland. And honestly, both of them were babbling about the past and barely really talking about the actual present, besides speaking in blatant terms and blanket statements like, you're the captain, you took the Cena schedule, you're this, you're that. Like, no one cares about this stuff anymore. We're past this point. We want good, hard-hitting promos, not you guys telling us how much you love and respect each other. Say something serious, It's just a disaster. I genuinely, I don't understand how WWE gets away with this. I really do not understand this garbage. But I will say this: if they're setting up Punk and Rollins, or Punk and Cody being the feud for the WWE Championship for Mania 41 season, this is going to be a disaster unless one of them turns heel. We all know this. Two good guys cutting promos for 3 months is going to be incredibly boring. We've seen what Cody's done over the last year as champion. It's been awful. So unless Punk or Cody turns heel and they actually pay some of this stuff off, or if The Rock shows up as a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble this weekend and chooses to face Cody for the belt after he wins the Rumble potentially, and chooses to face Cody for the belt at Mania 41, then you may have something there. But if not, this is going to suck. Unless Orton comes in as a heel to fight Cody, or Punk turns heel, or Cody turns heel, or The Rock shows up, it's over. It just is. The World Championship picture is atrocious. The WWE Championship is meaningless and is barely defended, so nobody cares about it. The tag team divisions in both the tag team divisions in both men and women's divisions are awful. They're atrocious. The mid-card belts mean nothing in the women's and men's divisions, so nobody cares about any championship picture. The only thing that matters is the final boss, The Rock, the Roman Reigns, John Cena, and that's it. That's it, and maybe a heel Orton if he's there as well, and then I guess CM Punk. But outside of that, nobody cares about this garbage. And you know that, and I know that. So there's no point of pretending with this trash. I'm going to further expand upon the Royal Rumble and the championship picture in tomorrow's video, but this has been a complete and utter disaster so far, and it's unexplainable. It truly is. It's embarrassing, it's awful, and it's disgusting. This is one of the worst episodes of Raw that I've ever seen, riddled by terrible promos, mid-wrestling matches, and awful storyline setups. And just a poor, awkward editing and just weird cadence to every promo segment tonight. So, there you have it, man. This is a disaster. Again, I don't even know what to say, man. We're going to talk more about this in the video tomorrow, but that's all I got to say for this. This Raw gets a 1 out of 10. Enjoy yourselves. I'll give it a 2 out of 10 because the women's match was decent, but other than that, it's a 2 out of 10 episode at best. Absolute garbage. Hope you all have a phenomenal day. Peace out. One love.